Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing the best I can, and I just want to tell you to have the best day you can. Make yourself happy, and don't worry about the stuff you can't control right now. I am making myself a cup of coffee at 5 a.m. I like to put oat milk in my coffee. And even though I like desserts, so I'm having some more flavor in there. I'm going to DollarTree.com and I'm going to ship a case of this to the store. This is magnificent, boys and girls. Absolutely. And, absolutely. So that's my coffee. Now I put my creamer and my little bit of milk in the microwave. On warm, just because I like my coffee hot, and I noticed that the creamer makes my coffee a little bit cold. So I just had a nice Epsom salt bath about 3 a.m. I woke up and I was really knocked out yesterday. I went to the doctor. When I came home, my knee hurt me so bad, boys and girls. My knee hurt so bad. I was like, so I couldn't function. So I didn't do too much of anything, but I boil my water every morning. You never know when you need boiled water, so I boil water every morning. So I was thinking this morning before I began my day. I already been downstairs. I already took my garbage out. I already did all of that. So I was thinking the only thing I want today is to pray for those who are not for me to just be away from me. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I want. It moves you in peace. That's it. This smells amazing, boys and girls. Woo! And I drop it back in, and it just it refreshes itself. But it's gonna last me so long. When the bottle is done, it's gonna all be done at the same time. So I love it. And I just want those that are not for me to be away from me. So I just said that's the only prayer I'm going to have this morning. And I want to be able to clean up a little bit today while I can, because my back is hurting. But I'm going to a few doctors. I have a lot of, gotta charge my battery. I have a lot of doctor's appointments coming up. So, if you have things to do, try to get them done early and in the morning if you can, because the peace that you will feel in the quiet and the stillness of the night, it is just beautiful. I went to my medical provider yesterday, a psychiatrist, and he is amazed at some of the things that I have done to help me get to where I am today. But he asked me, do I still have the voices and all that? I said, yes, it is all there, but I have to find a way to live with that and still be able to do the things that I'm doing. So I was trying to find a thrift store here so I could get me some clothes to work out in. So when I try to go to the gym, I could work out. But I wanted to say something that has nothing to do with wellness as far as eating and that type of stuff. Yesterday I transferred from Verizon, where I was paying $80 a month, and now I'm with Optimum. So far so good, except I can't hook my printer to my computer. I don't know what's going on, but I can't get it done. But I saved $35. That $35 I'm going to do my best to put in a jar and just leave it. It didn't even dawn on me that it was something that I was working on, a project I was working on, where you save like $31 a month. And just that for yourself, you just don't touch it, just leave it. You may have, my the name is called Stash and Go. Basically, you may have to start stashing. You never know when you have to go. And it came from where I went through a few storms, and then it was just to the point where I felt I had to go. And then yesterday, after the installer left, I realized that I just saved $35 changing from Verizon to Optimum. And so far, my TV has not turned off, my phone hasn't turned off, none of that since I changed over to Optimum. Now, in a Facebook group, there are people asking, if anyone knows anything about Optimum. I said I didn't know, but I was changing over in a few days. So now I do have 1 day's review, and so far my TV has not turned off. So just say you are looking for change in any type of way. Change something that you are used to, if you have any issues with it, for something that is lower in price. But when you do that change with intention, and take that savings and put it down. Just put it down. Right now, times are hard, and we are all going through it, but we have to take control of whatever little we have control over. There is another thing that I didn't realize that happened when I moved here. I didn't realize the electricity would be included in the rent, but I am aware of one thing, that is nothing's free, so it's all built in. But you will not find me abusing electricity just because I have access to it. There's no way. There is always a reason that a person can find to get you out of a unit, and I believe abuse of services is one of them. Yesterday I had to take a taxi from here to my doctor because I am not feeling well, and I arrived there and I was coming home, but a friend of mine from another town met me there, so I was outside talking to her. The taxi, I didn't know, was going to return at 5 p.m. to pick me up, but I was going to try to make it on my way home on my own. But then next thing you know, my phone rang, and it was like 4:30, and the man said, are you ready? I'm like, who is this? It's like, your taxi. I'm like, where are you? He said, I'm right here. I said, what is your license plate? And he said, and I said, okay, I see you. I'll be there in 5 minutes. And then I got in a car. So on my way going home, it was about maybe 45 minutes, a little bit more, probably an hour. And I just realized, I watched this man basically do his whole business. The phone rang and he was on the phone. It was one call after the other. And usually I am a little paranoid when someone is doing that, but I wasn't paranoid this time. I just stayed, and I said, stop, look and listen. So I leaned back. But what I also did was moved over to closer to was the door. But normally I wouldn't do that because that's dangerous. But I wanted to see his speedometer, because I have called in a few times where things became an issue, but I noticed that he was really steady on the road, and I said, how is he doing that? How is he doing that? So I watched his speedometer. He never went over 50. Speed limit was between 45 some places and 55 others. He never went over 50. So I said, and then I remembered there's something in a car that you can click on your steering wheel or something to monitor the road. I can't remember what it is, but I said something to him about his driving, but I started crying in the car, and he was really nice. He was social and everything, not abusive like I can be because I'm a chatterbox, but he was very nice. And then I felt that I could speak, and he started speaking to me about how he'd been in this country for 30 years and how he doesn't like living here anymore, but he loves living up here. And then he came from Yonkers, which means he knows everything about where I just came from. So when he picked me up, we were riding, and we noticed that a woman was at the bus stop, and I don't know how we were both looking at the same time. And she sat down on a bench that was metal, and then she jumped up. And we both just looked. Now, he didn't say anything, but something fell out of my mouth. And then he started laughing, and he said, and then we started talking about the neighborhood and everything. And we both moved from that section up here. And then somehow, when I was getting to notice his speedometer, I mentioned something, and he said, "Oh, I'm with Geico." And he said, used to get tickets. I had an accident, and my insurance was so high. And he said, I'm paying $88 for full coverage. I'm like, what? What? And I'm in the back. I'm like, wow, I'm trying to get there, boys and girls. I am. And I'm like, Geico? He said, and I already knew, because I kid you not, you have to move and shake sometimes and stop and listen. So he said, these younger people, they want to speed and drive, and I know people who's paying $500 and $600 insurance, but I also know a lot of people don't want to give up that zzz on the road. So a few days ago, I had to drive myself, and I got a little unsteady, so I had to do a little faster to get me closer to where I was, so I can get to where I was off the parkway. And I did. But when I did that, I remembered the thrill of just getting where you're trying to go. But getting where you're trying to go in that manner is going to get you nothing but more bills. And I was so happy to have been in that man's taxi yesterday, because all I saw was a grinder. His phone would ring, hello, and he's answering, and the person needed a ride, and he scheduled a ride while he was driving me. The person would be there in 45 minutes. And then another call came in, and the person said, I guess the taxi must have left. And he said, well, no, they're not waiting for you. He said, you had 45 minutes to know that the taxi was coming. If you needed 15 more minutes, you should have called to let them know. He said, when we schedule you a taxi, we schedule someone else a taxi. So if you're not there, we're not waiting for you for 10 minutes. We're leaving, he said. And the person said something. He said, well, I don't know what to say to you. He said, the next time you're going to be late, pick the phone up and make a call. I was like, oh my goodness, why is it that people do not have the awareness of people's time? And when I was like, oh my goodness, here it is. I had no intentions on being in that man's taxi to go home. And I was like, oh my goodness. Then it was just nothing but calls coming in. He was scheduling calls to withdraw. And I was watching, because I don't like people pick up their phone, but he didn't pick up his phone. He had his phone, his steering wheel was here, so he was looking this way. Then his phone was in the middle some type of way, where his hand never had to move too far from the steering wheel. And then his head was in a position where he was able to see the road and see the phone. He has it mapped out, boys and girls. You talking about hustle and grind? Hustle and grind, you get me? And then he was saying that he has drivers in all these different places and all this other stuff. So all I saw was the grinder, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is God doing work for me, letting me see how you have to be structured in everything you do and processing things properly. So I said to him, I said, I love how you work. I said, because that is really intentional. And then he started telling me how he did this and he did this, and how he's working. And I said to him, he said, if you want to go back, I'll be willing to take you. So I said, do you have a card? He gave me a card. I messaged my doctor, my provider, and gave her a picture of his business card. I said, I want this driver to take me when I have to go back down. He was talking to me. I said to him, I said, I don't want to be rude, but I'm going to say something. And he said, okay. I said, when I got in your car, I was a little nervous. I said, because the driver who brought me down, I said, he had body odor. I said, the whole entire ride, I had to lay down, and I had to just, I said, I actually don't know how I fell asleep, but I fell asleep going because I was tired. I said, but the body odor in that car was horrible. And I said, that should never happen. Now, I don't know if I took his company going down and up. I just know I said to him it was a blessing to be in his car and smell that air in that car. His air conditioner was up high, to keep me. At one point I got cold, but then I said no. He is servicing my needs because it was like 100. It felt like 1,000 degrees yesterday. So I said I'm not going to ask him to turn off the air. Now the person who picked me up, his air was off until I got in that car, which means when I got in that car, that air started going pow, it stifled me, and I was like, oh my goodness. And he put the air on, and then it started to cool down in the car, but air conditioned and ass air passing by, and that is not cool. That is not cool. I don't understand how it is just a basic function in, I kid you not, but I am not passing judgment on anyone. We all have our struggle. We all have our struggle, but I kid you not, it was a pleasant experience to be in that man's car. I am so freaking tired. Like, I took about 3 a.m. I got in a bathtub. My back hurts. My back hurts right here, and my shoulder is like basically and I took an Epsom salt bath. And today's Friday, so I said to myself, I'm going to take an Epsom salt bath every Friday, just every Friday, to give myself some process and routine. But I do know that I want to get whatever I can get done early because I already know I'm going back to sleep. I can feel myself getting tired. It's maybe about 5:15, 5:16 since I started this video at 5. I really wanted my coffee, and I really want to just take care of my mind. I went to see my doctor yesterday, my psychiatrist, and I just kept asking him, can you find something else for the anxiety? When I tell you that it is a beautiful thing to have a good doctor, I can't take any anxiety medicine, and that's just the hustle and grind. So whatever I have to do to master my wellness, I have to do. There is no anxiety medicine that I can take, and I'm thankful for the little bit of understanding that I have, because whatever I'm suffering now is going to get worse. We have to stop and look into what we are putting in our bodies, and we have to start fixing it. I was watching a woman's video this morning. I don't know how I ended up on this woman's video. I think she's either like 85 or 90, and I'm looking at the way she's moving in her yard and all that other stuff, and all she says is that she cannot live above her means. She has to live below her means, and basically she does everything for herself. And her routine now to help herself is YouTube. She has 3 YouTube channels that helps her throughout the day because her husband died. But one of the beautiful things about her and her husband, when he found out he was sick, his only agenda was paying off the mortgage. And that is beautiful. That's why I am so happy that I try to stay by myself, because what people don't understand is if you are a union, if you are not going to cover that person's fall, you don't cover theirs, they don't cover yours, you're there for nothing. I absolutely am thankful for everything that I am seeing, because even today I didn't ask God to do anything for me other than take those who are not for me from me. That's it, because we have to clean up. And I don't care what it is. It could be your mental health, it could be your body, it could be everything. You have to clean up. I am blessed. I have one child, one freaking child, one, because when I sit down and see what my daughter's going through, what I'm going through, just imagine if I just popped out children, what the hell would I be doing at 56 years old, pushing on 60, worrying about where all of these children are going to go? How do you see what's going on in the news? Have you seen how many of these young women have basically bunkered out to where now their children are in the system? These were children that were not wanted. They were not wanted, and we have to do better. But I had a phone call, And when I was talking to the person, I said to him, I am so thankful for you. And he said, why? I said, because you know me and all my bells and whistles and you still love me. He said, yes. And I started laughing. And then I said to him, I said, you don't know how you helped me, but I realize why I am so like attached to you. And he said, why? And I said, because you taught me to mind my business. And that's what's helping me. I said, because I was washing my dishes and I remembered one day when I went outside my building when I was living there and I saw this man just beating the fire out of another man. And I said, I saw the blood shoot out his mouth, out his mouth, his nose, and I'm on the building, and I grabbed my phone and I called 911. I said, this man, and the man was on the ground. He's kapow, 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 and he was just beating the fire out of him. And this guy walked out the building. He grabbed me by my hand. He said, "Mind your business." And I was like, he said, "Mind your business." He said, he's doing that for something. That man did something. Mind your business. And this person who said this loved me. I kid you not. Always say how much I am a good person and everything. He has been working so hard. But he left. He had to go to work or whatever the case may be. But then within 5 minutes, while I'm on the phone with 911 and they're asking me questions, I heard the man say, "Don't you ever hit my mother again." And he's like, "Oh, pow." And when I heard that, I said, "Oh," and I said, "Oh," and then all I could think of is my daughter. All I could think of, so I said, click to the phone. But I know at some point they most likely had came by there. That man left that man on the ground, busted down. There was literally blood on the ground, and he walked away. But you know what I said? That was it. I have been really, really intentional to mind my business. One of the blessings for me, and I was telling my doctor, is I have learned that when a person does not reach out to you, they may be unwell, they may be going through something, they may be whatever. You reach out, and after that, you just say, "That's it." You want to know why? You want to know why? You can't be a burden to people. That's it. So I am now sitting here hoping. Now the sun is out, so I may go outside. It's like maybe 5:30, so I may go outside. But the humidity, I can't do that after I take a bath. No, I can't do that. But I want to. I kid you not. I want to do so many things, but what I am going to do is just count my blessings, because when I was sitting down thinking of something that someone did to someone recently, and this person said, "Shay, I completely know how you feel now when you say clear as glass." Sometimes you have to treat people like they are clear as glass, whether their DNA connected to you or not. Why? Because the struggle is real. Just imagine if you are working so hard and you want this, and this, and then just say you're with someone and all they want is things, I saw this, I want that. Everybody needs to take care of themselves, but you can't work yourself to death if someone else does not have the concept of understanding that it takes a village. Just say a village to raise a child. So I always say, when you see someone is not for you, do not feel obligated. Just part the sea in kindness. That's it. So I'm so thankful, because I actually thought of someone yesterday and I can't call them. Why? Because I don't have their number. And I am so freaking happy. When I thought about it, there's a lot of connections I have and I don't know the number by heart. I will never be able to know. 9 times out of 10, my memory doesn't work like that. So block and then delete the number out of your phone. If you can get to the point where you wouldn't call this person if you were in danger, that is a blessing. It is not a curse. It is a blessing. You want to know why? Because you have one less piece of what? Unnecessary whatever, and the rest does not matter. I don't even care at this point, and it is a beautiful feeling to not care, because at some point you just get tired of pulling other people's wagons along with yours. When my doctor asked me, was I an empath? And I said, yes. He said, why didn't you tell me? I thought you knew already. Now he completely understands. So I have three therapy appointments that I booked for this month alone. Now that he understands, to see how he can help me help myself a little better, because I absolutely need his help. I absolutely love my therapist. But when I ended up getting there yesterday, I first of all, I left my home. I was supposed to leave my home an hour early. The driver came about 15 minutes early, and he was like, I'm downstairs. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. But guess what? I grabbed my bag, popped on my shoes, and I was out the door. Why? Because I was already preparing, because I knew ahead of time what time he was coming. I would rather wait on someone than someone wait on me. So I am so thankful that I respect other people's time, because all I had to do was grab, and be out the door. That's what life is about. It's called respect. So then we get down, I get to where I'm going, and then I am not only in the taxi an hour and 15 minutes early, I am 30 minutes early before my appointment. And that I wasn't too happy about. But then someone walked in that I went to school with, and we're like, where you been? And I'm like, and we're talking, our children are friends and everything, so we're talking, and basically we are living the same life, staying alone, having no friends, don't need anybody, making sure our children are good, those type of things. And it was so nice. And then she said, where do you live now? And I said, well, let's just say Connecticut. And I feel so bad, but it is okay. That's what I said, let's just say. I said, but I just don't need, all the bells and whistles and stuff like that. And she said the only reason she's still there is because both her mother and father are both alive. She said if it wasn't for that, she wouldn't be there. And it was so nice to see her. And I said, well, I did leave you a message on the marketplace about one of your items. She said, I don't even check that. I'm like, well, you should, because you have your things there. So, stuff like that makes you aware of that. Some of these processes in our lives take us where we are going for a reason and a season. But I kid you not, I was, oh, it was so funny. I was watching something or reading something, and it reminded me of someone that truly, 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 truly loves me. But I don't have that feeling there. So when someone loves you, they want you safe. That's it. And it's the truth, because I keep saying, why is this person still, trying to get, and the only thing I can see is my safety. I don't see, there's no alcohol. I'm never offered a beverage that I don't believe, I've never been offered anything other than water. And I'm so thankful, because the small things matter. I could be a drinker, doesn't matter. I may sip a Heineken one day, but I'm not saying never. But I don't want that person to offer me that. I don't. I just don't want someone that's supposed to love me to offer me something that would hurt me on internally, because at the end of the day, whoever loves me, if I do go unwell, is going to make sure that they're taking care of me. And I am here, and I was there, and all they did was care for me. It was always about my safety. And I'm just like, wow. And I don't know what God is doing, because I am in a zone right now where I don't want anyone to touch my body. And I'm talking a physical man. Don't want any man to touch me. If you related to me, or we really friends and all that, and you hug me, that's a difference. But anything other than that, I have to do what I have to do for me. But now I'm sitting here saying to myself, look at what love is. Love is safety, because when someone loves you, it's like they have white gloves on, they turn into a dove, and they just want to make sure you're good. But I kid you not, and now I'm going to speak to whoever it needs to be. If you love someone and they're attached to bad devices, vices, or whatever you mean, I don't know what it is. It could be a spending habit, it could be a drinking habit, it could be a smoking habit, it could be a sex addict, it could be whatever. If it is something that is not for you in your betterment, walk away. I kid you not. One of the things that I thank God for is I refuse. And one thing with me, I'm learning that I can't judge people. And I don't really know what judging is. I kid you not. I will not under any circumstances, be involved with a man who drinks. If he drinks, he smokes, he has that wilderness in him. I just can't. I can't. Why? Because I love that person enough to set them free. Why? Because I'm not their person. I don't want to be with someone I have to change. But I'm going to give it to you plain and simple. I literally been with a person that hid the liquor bottles under the sink and in the dirty clothes bag. I kid you not. If y'all seen Rolando, y'all see him, mommy, and ooh, all over. But one day he came to my house and he thought my kitchen window was Taco Bell. Lord Taco Bell, and pop, and bust out the window. And when he bust the window out, baby, that was it for me. That was it for me. I am so thankful that the super understood the assignment, came and just fixed that window. It was nothing but just what if I didn't have access to that super? You understand? But no, no, no. No, 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 no. I will not be with anyone who holds on to devices. You have $5 and that person won't say, well, let's get a money order and put that extra on the light bill. That extra is going to the bodega to get that beer. So there goes that. But I am so thankful. I received a call from a young woman, and she was like, Miss Shay, I need help with something. And it was a body situation, and she's really not taking care of herself. And I told her, I suffer from depression, and you have known me for years. You've been around me. You know what I deal with. I said, get your ass in the bathtub. That's it. I said, whatever excuses you have to fall on to help you through the day, hold on to them. I said, because they're going to get you exactly where you're going, but get in that bathtub. I said, stand in the bathtub, put your leg up open wide, get your cookie, baby, take care of yourself. Because people are saying, get in the tub. That's it. I kid you not. Some people are kind, and that's it. But I am kind enough to tell you the truth. If your pass by air is funky, take your ass in that bathroom. Depression does not mean that you can lay down and say, I don't care about myself. If you start taking care of yourself, just say to yourself, stand in front of the mirror, because I do it every day. Sometimes I can't get away from the mirror because whatever is in my head is bringing me to the mirror. I even told my doctor, I don't know what's going on. I go to the mirror and I'm standing there. I'm hearing all of this, but I don't know what it is. Maybe looking at myself is reminding me that I am a little bonkers, but I'm trying to find something to mask out. But what helps me get where I am today is that shower. Is the shower, because I could not get in. I kid you not, I would call my doctor and cry because I couldn't get in the shower. I was able to smell my arms. My skin wasn't feeling good. I was itching. I was standing at the sink and I would rag up and the floor would be where I went through it all. I would never stand on this screen and tell somebody something that I would not go for myself. I literally believe one of my doctors got fired because he would not help me figure out how to get in the bathtub. I don't care what your story is. Now, I do know there is a story. There are people that just can't. I get it. I understand. If you have 5 minutes of awareness, because I kid you not, through my storm of being bipolar and all of that, I would get like 5 split seconds to where I knew, right? And I knew whatever. That split, even if sometimes it was a split second, I was like, and I would start asking myself, is this beneficial to me? That's it. That one question is all I used to ask. And I would go around and I would hear somebody ask a question. I'm like, okay, and I answer the question and I would say, is that beneficial to me? Because I realized that you can't control what goes on in your head when you're bipolar. You just can't. But you have 5 minutes. Just get in the shower. Stand under the shower. Yesterday I saw three women that were completely bald. And I said to one lady, I said, look at you. And she started smiling because she understood the assignment. But when I had women tell me how beautiful they felt standing under the water, and the woman I saw yesterday, her hair is about this low. I didn't comment on the hair, but we looked so much similar. I kid you not. I can only say I love everybody, but we have to take some type of control over what we're going through. I kid you not. I'm actually changing my algorithm by removing access to what I watch. There are access to videos on YouTube that says not interested. There is it will that will take away that type of video for about 30 days and bring it back to you. Mm-mm. If it's not something you're interested in, remove it and just find a way to get it off your algorithm. When you're on Facebook, do the same thing. What I am working on now on my algorithm is education, health, and I am mainly listening to doctors. Why? Because a lot of doctors are fed up. Why? Because those doctors that understand that putting a band aid on, no, I actually had been going to the doctors and I am asking my doctors one simple question. Where is the cure? That's it. I don't want the band-aid. I don't want the prescription. I want the freaking the cure. That's it. So when I tell you turmeric and black pepper in your food, turmeric and black pepper in your food, you don't have to know exactly what it's doing. You will start to feel what it's doing. You have to take accountability for something in your life. When I was in that taxi, and all I could think of was how many people are crying about needing help, but there's a lot of people that's not going to clean the toilet, that's not going to go in a taxi and just get on the road and just get that shit done. They're not going to do it. But guess what? At the end of the day, I am living for today because I am concerned about me when I am 80. I want to be alone. I want to be alone. I want to live alone. I want to die in my house alone. That is a choice that I made because I love myself. I don't want to attach myself. Now, I do already know I am going to have a man in my life. There's no way I'm going to be the rest of my life attached to a battery, but I will love myself right now, take care of me here, because whoever I hitch my wagon to, I want to make sure I can cushion his fall just in case, and he doesn't have to know my bells and whistles. But I kid you not, boys and girls, we have to find ourselves in that shower. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. Find your time. Do not monitor your time by somebody else's time. Do not look at what other people are doing and say, oh, well, and mind your business. Whatever you can take from it, take from it. Do not go in the comments and leave foolishness and fuckery. None of that stuff matter. Get your ass in that tub, because I kid you not, it's going to get to the point where I'm going to have to just tell people your pass by air is just untidy. That's it. I actually walked. I was talking to someone. Okay, I'm going to leave that because that's not where I want to go. Yesterday, the man called me at 8 a.m. and said he was outside and if I needed him to wait to install. So I said to him what I would normally not say. I said, why would I make you wait if I chose the time for you to come? And he said, okay. And I said, I'm coming down. So I came down. When this man walked in the building, first of all, Papi Chulo was gorgeous, you hear me? And he came in, but all I could do was smell him. He smelled so good. One of the things I hate about me is my nose. I can smell so keen that it bothers me. But when he came in, I asked him, I said, do you have any issues not stepping on my floors, my carpets, because I don't like shoes in my home? He said, no, I have a thing. And he said, go to the car. So I said, okay. So I had to go back and forth. And he was looking at the elevator, and I said, but the blessing was, he was able to communicate with me because he understood English. So I said to him, I am so thankful. So it got to a point where we were in here laughing and everything, but I had a box with a love seat in it that I was waiting for someone to pick up, and they didn't come. So I said to him, I said, sir, do you have someone that could use this? And he said, is that a love seat? And I said, yes. And he said, yes. And I said, would you mind? I have a wagon. Do you have your vehicle? Can you carry it? He said, yes. And he was just so overwhelmed. And then I had to tap him on the shoulder. I said, you see why God got you up this morning? And you calling me to ask me, is it okay? I said, get your tail up in here, boy. You see what the Lord done gave you? And he started laughing. And all he could say was, thank you. And let me tell you something. This is why I always say it is always good to be up in the morning. You don't know what the day has for you. And then we were putting it in the wagon and he picked it up. I said, oh, you can pick that up. And he put it in the wagon. But boys and girls, my stomach is killing me. And then I walked him all the way to the vehicle and he opened the door. I said, look at that. You have a whole space for that. And he was, and I kid you not, I can only imagine the phone call he might have placed on that phone in that vehicle when he drove away. But I kid you not, sometimes we have to stop and realize that kindness is free. But I have nothing but doctor's appointments coming up and I'm going to take care of myself. I am going to do everything in my power today to help myself because my anxiety is so bad. But my anxiety is in my stomach and my anxiety mimics a heart attack. That's why I'm having the pains in my chest. As soon as I reached Mount Vernon, New York yesterday, my anxiety started going boom, boom, boom. And then a friend from another town met me there. And then when I got in her vehicle, she said, you know, I didn't know that this street here would take me around the block and I would get here. And I said, oh yeah. She said, you got me near the mother effing projects. She said, I will get. And she started going. Oh my goodness. We started laughing. She said, click, click, lock the doors. It was so funny. I kid you not, she's like 77 years old and her mouth does not have a filter on it. But I kid you not, I kid you not, she is aware because she knows what's been on. My stomach is killing me, boys and girls. She is aware, but I kid you not, she does not want to be there, not even 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You got me. But I'm like, oh my goodness, all I could do is laugh. I said, I have to run back upstairs. So when I got out, she knows how nervous I am crossing the street. So I was looking, and I stepped into the street to cross from her car across the street. She said, bah, and it blew the horn. Oh my goodness, all I could do was laugh. All I could do is laugh. I said, I'm going to come back down here and bust out all your car windows. And she just started laughing. But I kid you not, that woman has a bad ride. You hear me? I don't know what she's driving, but that is a bad ride. And when I say, wow, I think it's 6 seats in that thing. And it has leather seats and it has like some really nice engraving in the hood in the piece behind. I don't know what it is, but I said, what are you doing? What? And then to know, I said, how did you get this? She said, God gave me this. She said, because I could not afford this on my own. Someone she knows, and they had some type of vehicle sale or whatever, and they said, if there's anybody who deserves this, it is you, because she is kind. She'll call me sometimes. She was like, Shay, I just need a few greeting cards. I just want to leave it for some of the senior citizens. I'm going to go soon. I'll be like, okay. And sometimes she's not even home and I just drop them at her door. So she is kind and all she knows is kindness. And that's why I always say, if you have a spare dollar, and you see someone at the register, it does not have to be a conversation. Just put the dollar. You see a little kid, especially a child that's well behaved, ask the parent, can you just give them a little pocket money, put it in there. I don't know who. No, I'm not gonna say that. Gotta be careful. Sometimes you gotta be careful what you say. Wait a minute, that coffee has no flavor in it. I mean, it tastes like coffee, but there's no sugar in it. I like that. I can't believe it. I didn't put a sugar packet in there. I taste the coffee and the creamer, but less sweet. Okay, I think I might be drinking that like that. Anyway, I'm gonna say, have a wonderful day, and if you don't see me, I'm doing well. I have to sit down for a little while. I was trying to get outside. It's nice out there, but My stomach is really hurting. Anxiety is right here in the bottom of my stomach. I asked my doctor, I said, is the bottom of my stomach hurting because of anxiety? He said, yes. He said, that's anxiety. And the pain that I'm having in my chest is anxiety. So I cannot take anxiety medicine. I am thankful, but I have to master on my own. But my doctor said what's going to help my anxiety is when I learn to say no and I'm okay with how it makes me feel. And that's not going to happen for a long time. But, but I went to my favorite pizza place. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Nope. Nope. Must be in my other freezer. Anyway, I went to my favorite pizza place. I called her. I called her and I asked her how much 3 slices were, and she told me. So I went down, and then when I was coming back up, I stopped at the pizza place and I got 3 slices of pizza. But I learned something very valuable getting 3 slices of pizza because I didn't get extra cheese. I just got the slices. It's not the pizza that I like, it's the cheese. So now guess what? I may not be getting the pizza anymore. Not because I don't want the pizza, because I realized that it's not the pizza that I actually fell in love with. It's the cheese she's putting on the pizza. If I am going to pay that price for pizza because I like the cheese, I need to figure out where that fits in my budget, because if I'm learning to save here and here and here to just turn around and buy cheese, there's something that I have to start working on. So I'm so thankful that I made it down there and got the slices of pizza. But when I ate the pizza yesterday, that bell and whistle didn't click because I did not order the extra cheese. Why? Because I didn't have it in my budget. So it's the cheese that I actually like, not that. I will have to figure something out, but I don't know if I will not, I can't buy 3 slices of pizza with extra cheese for the price that I pay for 1 slice. And I remember one time someone left a comment, was like, there's no way you're paying $8 for a slice. Well, I guess you have never been in New York, so there goes that. But I didn't have to play in the sandbox with the person. I won't do that. I will do the best I can to part ways and to see and all that other stuff. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.